If you are running TikTok ads, you have to measure if they are performing well. This can be done with TikTok Pixel. In the previous video, I explained how to install TikTok Pixel with Google Tag Manager. Today, I will show you how to send additional events to it, for example, purchases. This data will help you see which TikTok ads perform better. In this video, I presume that you already have installed TikTok Pixel base code. That looks something like this. If you haven't done that yet, then I have another quick tutorial on how to install TikTok Pixel. So watch that first. I will post a link to it below the video. And after you do that, then come back to this tutorial. But in a nutshell, basically you had to go to ads.tiktok.com, go to assets, events, create TikTok Pixel. Then you get a JavaScript code that you need to copy and paste into Google Tag Manager in the custom HTML tag and fire on all pages. That's pretty much it. So now let's take a look at events that you can also send to TikTok, because this TikTok Pixel code tracks only page views, but maybe you also want to send other interactions such as add to carts or purchases. Because when you send events, then TikTok will have more data, and for example, you can set the purchase event as your conversion. So when you see the reports of your TikTok ads, you will know how many purchases did you get from each TikTok ad. So first go to Google Tag Manager and click Templates. Then in the Tag Templates section, click Search Gallery. Then click the search icon and enter TikTok, and then choose the template that was developed by TikTok. Then click Add to Workspace and click Add. This template will help us easily manage the tracking codes of TikTok events. The reason why we used custom HTML for the standard base code is that the TikTok Pixel template in Google Tag Manager is for event tracking, not for the base code, at least when I'm recording this video. And there is one last thing before we start creating event tags. You should open your custom HTML tag where you have your TikTok Pixel code, and you should click on the pencil here, then Advanced Settings, and make sure that the Tag Firing Options dropdown has been set to once per page, and click Save. Now in the Tags section of Google Tag Manager, click New, Tag Configuration, and here you will see in the Custom section TikTok Pixel. This is here because we have imported that TikTok Pixel template from the gallery. Click this. The first thing that we need to enter is the pixel ID, and you can find that by going to ads.tiktok.com, then Assets and Events. Then select Web Events, and then you will find that pixel ID here. So copy and paste it here. Then you can select what kind of event are you going to send to TikTok. And here is the list right here. And we have view content, search, and up to the subscribe event. So these are all standard events that are currently supported by TikTok Pixel. Also below this video, I will post a link to a documentation where you can find the list of standard events, what kind of parameters do they support, what are those parameters, what do they mean, and so on. So getting familiar with the documentation will definitely help you better configure your TikTok Pixel. Let's say that in this video, I will be tracking the most important event when it comes to measuring ad success, and that is a purchase. That's why I will select Trigger Event Complete Payment, and I will always keep an eye on the documentation and see what kind of parameters are recommended or required and so on. That is why I will go here and I will see Complete Payment. So we have things such as content type, quantity, description, content ID, currency, and value. If some of these are unclear to you, which is totally normal, then you can scroll down and look at those parameters. For example, content type can be either product or product group. In most cases, you will need to enter product. Then we have content ID. So in that case, usually it is the product ID and so on. To make the tracking of TikTok Pixel more accurate, TikTok also asks you to enter things such as user email or maybe user phone number. But in this video, we will not be talking about that. So I will skip this part. And then, together with the complete payment event, we have to send some additional information about the purchase. For example, what is the total amount, or what is the currency of the purchase, or what kind of products were purchased. And that part of the setup depends on how your website is configured, what do you have in the Google Tag Manager data layer, and unfortunately, I won't be able to show you all the possible edge cases or all the possible situations because there are just too many of them. but I will still show you one example. So when it comes to event tracking, there is also an object properties section where you will be able to enter all that information about the actual purchase, like what was the price, how many items were purchased, and so on. So here I have a demo website where I will be trying to implement TikTok Pixel. Here I have several products. So let's say that I will add this product to a cart. Then I will start the checkout. Then I will continue with the checkout. And then finally, I will complete the purchase. So now I am on a thank you page, or also known as order confirmation page. And here my TikTok Pixel complete payment tag will fire. So every time you want to track something with Google Tag Manager, you need to enable Google Tag Manager preview mode in order to see what kind of data is available. And if it is not available, then you might need to either use your Google Tag Manager skills, or you will need to cooperate with a developer to ask that he or she will add some purchase data to a thing called data layer. But as I've said, first let's enable the preview mode of Google Tag Manager. So I will just duplicate this tab and then I will click the preview. Here I will enter the URL of my thank you page because that's the page where I want to fire my TikTok Pixel. And now the preview mode has connected. I will go to the Tag Assistant tab, and here I see the event called EEC Purchase. Now, this is here because I asked a developer to push the data about the purchase to the data layer, and it is following right now the data structure of Google Analytics 3, or also known as Universal Analytics. It is still very popular, at least when I am recording this video. So maybe you have a similar data structure right here where we have the type of the data, so it's purchase, then action field and products and so on. Then you're very lucky because the configuration of the TikTok Pixel will be fairly easy. Let me show you. So I'm still with the complete payment selected right here. And then in the object properties, I can select use Google Analytics e-commerce data layers. I can click this and then I can select from two options, either enhanced e-commerce or standard e-commerce. Both of these are related to Universal Analytics, which is GA3. When I'm recording this video, GA4 is still not supported, but later in this video, I will show you a workaround how to support that as well. So this code right here is related to a thing called enhanced e-commerce, because if you check the documentation of Google Analytics, you will see that the data is structured in a particular way where we have e-commerce and then, as I've said, purchase, and then we have products and so on. So this is enhanced e-commerce. That is why I will keep this option selected right here. So when it comes to the tag configuration, when you have enhanced e-commerce data layer, this is it. As long as your data is properly formatted like this, and it follows the requirements of Google Analytics, you're done. The next step is to configure the triggering part. Or in other words, when do we want this particular event to fire? And if we look at the preview mode of Google Tag Manager, it's when the EEC.purchase is available in the data layer, or this one right here. So EEC.purchase. That is why we will go to Google Tag Manager and create a new trigger that will be looking for EEC.purchase. So I will go to Google Tag Manager, click anywhere in the triggering section, and then click plus. Then click Trigger Configuration, select Custom Event, and then enter the event name exactly as it is right here, EEC.purchase without quotation marks. Then I will name the trigger and we'll click Save. The final step is to name this tag, so I usually name it TT and then Complete Purchase and click Save. Now let's test if this is working, so I will click Preview, or I can actually go to that other tab and click Preview here. This will refresh the preview mode, and I will be redirected back to the thank you page. So here, if I go to the Tag Assistant and I click EEC Purchase, I will see that my TikTok Pixel tag fired. So this is a good start, but we are not done yet. We also need to check if TikTok Pixel Helper shows if the data was sent correctly. I will post a link below this video to a Chrome extension, which is called TikTok Pixel. You will need to click that link, install it in your browser, and then that Pixel Helper will look like this. Now, if you go to the page where you have activated your Pixel, then you should click on the extensions and scroll down to TikTok Pixel Helper, and you should see some number. This means that in our case, 2 events were sent to TikTok. One of them is the default page view, which is tracked automatically, and then the other one should be the complete payment. Let's click it, and we see that indeed that happened. we see both green check marks, so it means that they were sent properly. I can even click on these events and let's say see the contents, and here are the product ID, product name, product price, quantity, and also content type sent to TikTok. In fact, you can also check if that data was received properly by TikTok, because this check mark right here shows that the data was sent properly, but was it received? We are not sure. So let's check that. Let's go to ads.tiktok.com again. Then I'm in assets, events, and then I click on my TikTok pixel. And here we have a section called test events. This section right here will show you the incoming events that you send to TikTok, excluding page view. For some reason, they decided to not show page view. Also, another thing, which is right now quite inconvenient, is that the only way for you to see the events that are coming from your browser here is if you scan this QR code. And since we haven't published our changes in Google Tag Manager, scanning this code with the mobile device will not properly work, because on our mobile device, the TikTok pixel is still not active. That is why we need to find some way to scan this QR code directly in our browser. You might find other ways, but I found one extension for Chrome that scans the browser window and then it will check if there are some QR codes. I will post a link to that extension below the video as well. So now I will go to extensions and keep looking for the QR code reader for Google Chrome. I click that, then I select the current tab of the browser, and it will find the QR code, and here is the link of that QR code. So I will click it. This is the thank you page, but also it has the TT test ID, and this is the ID, which enables the test events feature in this TikTok Pixel Ads Manager. So now I will copy this link from this thank you page, and then I will paste it in the other thank you page where we have this icon different. So this is the tab where our preview mode is connected. That is why I will just paste it right here, hit enter again. The preview mode is still working of Google Tag Manager, but now we have that test ID as well. Now I can go back to the events manager, and here I see the complete event that was received from my browser. I can click it and I see no errors, no warnings, and I also see what kind of parameters were sent. We have content name, content ID, currency, value, and so on. So this looks good. Another option when it comes to purchase tracking, as you have seen, is to use the standard e-commerce. So I will not show you all the steps. I will just show you the structure of the data layer. And if you see something similar in your website, then it means that you should use the standard e-commerce. So if in the data layer you see something like this, which is transaction ID, transaction total, transaction tax, transaction shipping, transaction products, and then you see things like SKU and name, and they are named exactly like this, although maybe in your case transaction shipping is missing, which is still okay. So if you see parameters named like this and formatted like this, this is standard e-commerce. And in that case, you should select this option right here. Oh, and one more thing, which is very important. When you create event tags for TikTok Pixel, you always need to go to advanced settings in each TikTok Pixel event tag, except that custom HTML tag. You need to go to advanced settings, then tag sequencing, and then select to fire a tag before this purchase tag fires. So click this and then select the TikTok custom HTML tag. Because this event tag, if it fires before your custom HTML tag fires, it will not work. This tag requires that the code in the custom HTML tag loads properly first. And this tag sequencing section, it guarantees that custom HTML tag loads first, and then after that, your complete payment event will be fired properly. So do that in all TikTok Pixel event tags, and make sure that they have the fire a tag before fires. And in that section, you should select the custom HTML tag and then click save. But you don't need to do that in the custom HTML tag. So the only setting in the custom HTML tag right now in my container is once per page, and that is enough. Now, as promised, let's take a look at what should you do if you, as many other businesses, are already using Google Analytics 4 and your data layer looks different compared to standard e-commerce or enhanced e-commerce. So if the data in your data layer looks like this, where you have e-commerce, which is similar to enhanced e-commerce, but all the parameters are using underscores and they are named exactly like this, where you see transaction underscore ID or item name or item ID, then this means that this data layer is related to Google Analytics 4. Right now, when I'm recording this video, it is not possible to automatically reuse the GA4 data layer in the settings here. I'm sure that in the future they will do that. So maybe you will just at some point see the radio button that says Google Analytics 4. But right now I can show you one workaround. So to do that workaround, first you need to go to variables in Google Tag Manager, then click new, variable configuration, data layer variable, and then enter e-commerce, all lowercase exactly as I show it here. Then, this is very important, you need to select data layer version 1 and then name this, let's say DLV e-commerce version 1. Click save. Then below this video in the description, I will post a link to a page where you can find a little custom JavaScript code that you should use in this container. So once you copy that code, click new in the variables section, then click variable configuration, select custom JavaScript, and then paste that code. But there's one thing that we need to replace. So remove this insert your e-commerce variable and then enter two curly braces like that. Then you will see a drop down of available variables in your container, and you need to select your data layer e-commerce version 1 variable like that. After this is done, then name this variable like, let's say CGS, TikTok, products from GA4 or something like that. Because this variable basically will take the data of the GA4 e-commerce, and then it will output an object where every product contains content ID, price, quantity, and content name if that information is in your GA4 data layer. So click save. And in fact, we can test this already if this variable works. So I will close the preview mode and then I will initiate a new preview mode because my URL of the thank you page has changed. So I will enter the new URL here. I will click connect. And here I am on the GA4 thank you page. And if I go to the preview mode of Google Tag Manager again, then click purchase and click on variables, you will see that this is the value of the DLV e-commerce version 1. So this is the data related to GA4 e-commerce. And then this is our custom JavaScript variable that outputs the product data in the correct format that is supported by TikTok. Now let's go to the tags in Google Tag Manager, click the complete purchase tag, and then I will scroll down to object properties. And then I will disable the use Google Analytics e-commerce data layers because GA4 is not here. And then I will select multiple contents because users can purchase multiple products on my site at once. That's why we click here. And then we need to insert the JavaScript variable here in the contents section. So I can click on this icon and then select custom JavaScript variable, and then we can enter other parameters. That's where we can go back to the documentation of TikTok and we see some parameters such as, well, first of all, we need to find complete payment. Here it is. We have content type, quantity, description, content ID, currency, and value. So we can enter those. When it comes to currency, if your online store or your website operates just in one currency, then you can enter the ISO code of that currency. For example, if you're working with euros, you need to enter like that. If you're working with US dollar, you can enter like that. But if you have, let's say, multiple currencies, and then you also have the currency information in the data layer, you can insert a data layer variable here that will pick this value and will insert it right here. So to do that, we will click the button to insert the variable, and then I will click the plus button to create a new variable. Variable configuration, data layer variable, and then I need to tell the entire path in the data layer where Google Tag Manager can access currency. Currency is the child of the e-commerce because it is inside the e-commerce. So we will enter e-commerce.currency. Then I will add the name and save. The next step is value. Value is the order total, or the total amount of money that a visitor paid to you with that purchase. And in this case, it would be e-commerce.value. Let's insert another variable. This time I will be doing that faster because you already know the drill. Click Save. Then we have description. Let's take a look at the documentation. In this case, it looks like description. This is the recommended parameters section. Some of them are actually required, not recommended, but I think we can skip the description. If it is still needed, we will see some warnings later in the configuration. So I will skip that. Query, don't need that. Status, don't need that for the purchase. So in this case, this is enough. Let's save the tag and see if that is working properly. I will click the preview to refresh the preview mode, to fetch the latest version of my tags and variables, then click continue, and let's see what happens. So I click the purchase and my tag did not fire. Oh, it did not fire because it is still using the old trigger, which is looking for EEC.purchase, but the event name here right now is purchase. So I need to update this trigger to meet the condition like that, and click save again, refresh and test it. So now I have reloaded the preview mode and I click the purchase and I see that my complete purchase tag has fired. Let's go to the thank you page. Let's click the TikTok pixel helper and I see the green check mark. That's good. I can see what kind of contents were sent. And I can also go to the events manager and click the latest complete payment event. And I see that everything is working fine. I see the value 342. Let's see what we had in the data layer. We had 342. So this looks correct. If it is possible to buy only one product at your checkout and you don't have the data formatted in the GA e-commerce style, then you could select an option in the complete payment tag to select single content and then create data layer variables depending on how that data is structured. For example, maybe you have, e-commerce, something, something, and then you create those data layer variables and you enter them right here. So the content ID should be the product ID. Content type should be, usually it will be product. Then content name is the product name. So you need to create some variable that returns the product name. So maybe in your case, the product name can be accessed by entering just the word product name because that's the name of the parameter in the data layer in your case. So you will need to adapt. Then the price is the product price, not order total, it's the product price. Then the quantity is how many times a product was purchased, because maybe you can buy one product, but you can have like 3 items of the same product. Then the currency, you can either enter the variable or you can enter just like that. Then the product category, it's not required, but it would be good. Then description, query, status. So keep in mind that the price is the product price, but the value is the order total. So the total value. For example, if you have the price 10 and that product is purchased 3 times, then the order value will be 30. And something similar applies to other events as well. For example, if you are tracking add to carts, then you could provide some product information together with that event. If someone submits a form, then I think I tried using no contents, but I still got some error from TikTok. Maybe they fixed that. But if you still see some error right here, so you can just select single content and then enter some ID, let's say, of the form that was submitted. The content name could be the name of the form. The price could be, I don't know, maybe 0, because that's just the form submission. So maybe you don't want to add some monetary value to the form submission, but this depends on you. When I'm recording this video, TikTok Pixel does not support custom events. So you will have to select from these standard events right here. When you test your setup and you make sure that the data is incoming properly and you don't have any errors, then you need to go to Google Tag Manager and submit your changes by clicking this button in the top right corner, and then complete all the steps until you actually see that the new version of the container was published. And then the next day, so basically within the next 24 hours, you will start seeing more data in the overview of your pixel in the TikTok Ads Manager. But based on my experience, sometimes it just doesn't load well. So sometimes I just keep seeing this loader, and just refreshing several times might help. So the data might look something like this, where you can see the event counts of how many times you tracked, let's see, view content, page view. I also had some payments completed. Some test payments, but since I just implemented that recently, still not enough time has passed for the complete payment event to appear in the report right here. And that is how you should send events to TikTok Pixel with Google Tag Manager. Remember that the main TikTok Pixel code is implemented with a custom HTML tag, and all events are managed with a custom template. And also, don't forget to use tag sequencing. If you found this video useful, hit the thumbs up button. That will help me understand what videos do you like and what should I create in the future. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager, then consider subscribing to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.